Again, user agent. So this one tells you what Ariba version they're on, 14.2. We again don't really care about that. So again, that's the header. That we're now onto the actual request. Still an order request header. We got our order date. We got our PO number. Ariba starts sending things like order type, regular. There are a couple different types. We don't look at that element. Version. We don't look at that either. That comes into play when this becomes update. But again, we don't support that, so it doesn't really matter. Here's another one. Here's the total. Well, now there's actually alternate amount, alternate currency. They're not populated, but still have this element. Ship to, here's our address ID, 4000, ISO country code. Here's name. They have 2 delivered tos in a street line. So again, that's fine. That would fit NEB's setup. Email address. So a little bit less information. They don't even send a phone number. So if they send it, great. If they don't, so be it. Bill to, same thing. Address ID, name, no deliver to, which is more common. Just one street line, because probably they all go to this 25 Buick Street in Boston. They also have an email address, which is a generic invoices@bu.edu. Phone number. Even have a URL in here. I don't know why, but they send it. So interestingly enough, shipping. They include the shipping. So NEB has a punch out with Boston University. When we return the cart to them, we do return the shipping cost, which is $34. That's their flat rate fee. It is now being returned to us. NEB does not care. If the shipping cost changes or is higher, they're going to recalculate it. Because remember, if the PO changes from the punch out session and they update it in the procurement system, this could change from 1 to 2 to 3. This $34 isn't going to be correct necessarily. So they always recalculate it when they actually ship the item. And that's just something we've learned to live with. Just because the punch out says, oh, there's 2 items, there may be 6 on the PO. And everybody sort of understands that. Whenever they invoice it, they're going to invoice you for whatever the fees are. Shipping, tax, all of that. Payment term. So this is used periodically. So this purchase order has payment terms of 60 days. So when the invoice gets submitted, sometimes this has to be passed back to them saying, okay, this invoice is due in 60 days. Sometimes it's ignored, but this is again another one where there is this field, and sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't. Here's our comments. So there's comment type. These are the terms and conditions. There are other types that will sometimes come in under the same block. It'll say comment type like user or something like that. And then it'll also have a body, which again, these are just generic terms. This comes on every single PO from Boston University. And again, another extrinsic company code, TRBU. Don't know what that means. I don't think NEB really uses it either, but that's just something that is sent over. This is a really good one because this is a lot more stuff. So this is again one item, quantity of 1, line number. But notice there's a requested delivery date. So NEB actually does use this. Some of our suppliers do, most do not, because it says they want it delivered, oh, actually today. This purchase order came over yesterday. So they're saying, give it to me tomorrow, which is fine for NEB because NEB is based in Massachusetts. So is Boston University. NEB ships overnight anyway, but yeah, they definitely do send that over. And now it's called requested delivery date because it doesn't uh, necessarily mean it's going to be delivered the next day, but just requested. It's used a lot in material management. They're doing requirements planning for like, hey, I need 500 of these boxes of screws or something because I'm doing a new project soon. They'll schedule them out like 3-4 weeks, or even several months, and just place a bunch of purchase orders, and then the supplier just ships them as needed. Then we've got the item ID, which we've already talked about, supplier ID, that's NEB's part number, supplier products ID, shopping cart ID, item detail, again, price. So we've got this alternate currency, alternate amount, which is blank. This is the actual price of the item, product description, unit of measure, UNSPSC code. So these are, again, more extrinsic. So there's the URL, NEB, I guess, return that, lead time, all the extrinsic. So requisition line number, is this an ad hoc order? We do run into that periodically. This is no, because this came from the punch out or the hosted catalog. Who the requester is. So Hisu Kim, that's probably the ship to. So it's not. Well, actually, the email is there, but not in the deliver to. So it's just going to a Vern's lab. But so who the requester is, purchase requisition. So a purchase requisition is the original requisition number. It's not used. A requisition is not a purchase order. They're two different things. So when someone punches out and returns a cart, it's a purchase requisition. When they get it ran through approval and it gets issued into a PO, that's what this order request is. Which is why no one uses this. We don't care what the requisition number is. We care what the PO number is. Order type, standard. Don't know what that means. Incoterms. Eric is all too familiar with those. We have a client that uses that a lot. It basically is, it's used in international shipping and US shipping too. It's just location codes and things like that. And then another one, Incoterm location. Quote reference and quote line reference. These are just extrinsics that can be passed. For electronic quoting, sometimes they'll come over and process accordingly. But most of our clients don't use it. NEB doesn't even do electronic quoting. BU actually sends tax. So this is not common because sales tax is calculated by the supplier. But they are saying they are tax exempt. But again, the onus is on the supplier to calculate tax. So this is very often ignored and sent on the invoice when the actual electronic invoice is sent. And that is a more complicated purchase order. By no means, the most complicated. There are a lot of variations, but you can see the common elements amongst them.
Yeah, it was very helpful.
Good. We probably should have done this a long time ago, but I figure now, this is why I wanted to record it. We'll file it accordingly. Like, hey, what does this field mean? Because it's not that hard. A lot of them are intuitive. It's not like the stuff you deal with very often, Matthew, with the EDI and like, what is an N1 segment and things like that. So these are just a lot simpler to handle because they're just tag based.
Yeah, this is one of those things. I mean, I'm sure we looked at this like, almost 2 years ago, and I'm sure I had absolutely no idea what any of this stuff did because I had no context.
Sure.
So seeing this in the beginning and seeing this, as you're working through the system is definitely the best way to go as far as I'm concerned. Because now we know what it relates to. There's some kind of application that we've been using it for.
Yeah, I mean, like Alex is working through a NetSuite integration that I haven't even reviewed yet, but we were given like, all right, like 16 fields, let's say, that we need to populate, but there's no ship to information. We have all this information, and Alex and I were like, oh yeah, well, we can probably push it in, but we just need to know where it goes. So
Yeah.
that's like the mapping exercise that we go through, that, how do we get it in, and where do we put that stuff? Because, different systems do different things.
Yeah, and this definitely helps too, because I was building out the what's going to be the second part of that EDI, which is going to be the PO,
Mhm.
and what the relationship is between the cXML and the PO. So just based on this, there's just a couple tweaks I'm going to make to the document and the presentation for that,
Okay.
just so it makes more sense universally.
Gotcha. Cool. Any questions on cXML purchase orders?
Not for me. No, that was pretty good.
I don't know, Eric, did I miss anything? Any weird stuff? Oh yeah, you can't talk. Yeah, probably something, but very obscure. Yeah, and now, having done this for so long, just the volume and of integrations that we do, we will see some weird stuff, but they'll just come up, and we'll talk about it, and say, yeah, what is that? Or someone needs a custom field map, we can do that. We also have like a lot of controls already built in, so we don't have to add new stuff. Like, honestly, um, these order request fields, I can't remember the last time we added something to these. There's a lot available. Um, like, I think we added a couple of years ago, we added like all these tax fields, so we could grab that. Then we added these distribution codes because one of our clients needed them. But yeah, this really hasn't changed all that much. Um, so yeah, but I guess that's it for now. So maybe I'll schedule the Matthew. Do you want to do the EDI one like maybe next week while it's still fresh in your mind, or is that
Yeah,
too
next week.
soon?
No, next week's fine for the PO for the EDI.
Okay.
I have most of it done already.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll schedule that because I want to do some more of these because I don't have to prepare for these at all. Eric and I were talking before this, and he's like, "You're leading it." I was like, "Oh, I guess I should you know bring up some samples," but it's all pretty easy. So we just want everyone to get there over time. But yeah, we'll do some more punch out ones. We'll do invoicing. We'll do OCI and cXML punch out, and go from there.
Perfect.
But all right, cool. So yeah, thanks everyone, and I'll extract the recording and put it in the Green Wing University section, and we'll go from there.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.